Me and my brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, Saturdays, we be out teaching on corners. We be out speaking to goners, hoping to bring a few fish to the Adawan. We be out teaching in Babylon. A lot of these niggas can't faze us. A lot of these brothers we speaking to wanna bring kingdom to white again nations. And we just want reparations. And we just wanna see Esau in chains. Half of you niggas saw Django in chain. Half of you niggas saw Toya a slave. Still wanna say the oppressor. This is a cut, keep it a buck. None of my brothers is keeping it shut. Open the book and we bringing them cuts. Every baby we bringing them up. Elevation, we teaching them what? The Bible is prophecy, look in the book. The Bible is prophecy, look in the book. We've been looking at pages. Now we can see that it's talking to me. Now we can see that it's talking to we. Posted up deep, bringing water for free. My brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, they gon' roll for me. They oppose me. They get souls for me. Me and my brothers, Saturdays, we be out teaching them corners. We be out teaching the corners, teaching them put something through on your borders. Saturdays, we be out teaching them corners. We be out teaching the through on your borders. Saturdays, we be out teaching the corners. We be out teaching the corners, teaching them put something through on their borders. Saturdays, we be out teaching them corners. We be out teaching the corners, teaching them put something through on their borders. Saturday, we be out teaching them corners. We be out teaching the corners, teaching them put something through on your borders. Saturday, we be out teaching them corners.
Call me Little Bo Beep, I'm out here shining. For the lost sheep, I'm out here grinding. I ain't talking cheese, I'm out here mining. Looking for diamonds, kingdom business, I'm mining. Trying to wake you up from the lullaby rhyming. Devil can't touch this heat, pantomiming. He is a liar, so said the lion Judah. Shelter in my protector, running to him, be faster than a puma. Holy is a wave, repping the ancient of days. Christ is the big kahuna. Got good news, I'ma give it to you. Giving all praise to the Most High. Got the victory, no night. Seeing ain't popping like an old Sprite. Good news, I'ma give it to you. Yeah, got the victory, no night. Seeing ain't popping like an old Sprite. You are my everything. Yeah, get down. You keep my soul from the flame. You even know my name. Yeah. You will reign. Breaking news. Get down. We got you. Yeah. Hallelujah. Talk to 'em. Yeah. Baptism. Jumping out the water like free willing. Rolling with Christ, no free willing. We feel listening, you roll different. Ooh, son of man. Ain't like us, you move different. They don't like us, we move with them. No Oscars, we act different. Got good news, I'ma give it to you. Giving all praise to the Most High. Got the victory, no night. Seeing ain't popping like an old Sprite. Good news, I'ma give it to you. Got the victory, no night. Seeing ain't popping like an old Sprite. You are my everything. Yeah, get down. You keep my soul from the flame.
shine, they them daughters. We're here now, all these things to the most high. It's our time, put your garment on, put a show down. Repent now, ain't no salvation from the Z-seats. The kingdom is here, and it's all up in your mouth.
Straight from the throne, we built the altar with the unhewn stones. Roam through the city, all we see is these bones. So my face like flint till I wake a couple souls. A prophet hated by his own, so the father sent his son to bring the tribes of Jacob home. Jumping through these traps, cause they trying to see us gone, but we walking through the fire just like Daniel and his bros. From every sheep to her zone, we stay inside the book because the book is all we own. Heritage and you better hold it on. We like David fighting giants with no armor and a stone. We face east cause a car home. We face east just to call home. We can't sleep till we all home. We won't rest till they all gone. So I guess that we be calling out they all bones. Bless the seed, invest the deep in the laws of our God. Niggas Elohim, Shema, Warapah, all the side the king. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashah, Nagim. Bless the seed, invest the deep in the laws of our God. Niggas Elohim, Shema, Warapah, all the side the king. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashah, Nagim. From Bereshit to the books in Greek, the dragon took the sheep. Man, the book complete. The father looked for peace, but we shouldn't the beast. Now we up until our power put the hook in cheek. Shema, Yasha Allah, Abanawa, Yahweh, Ahad. He the tower till he give us the power of God. Though in the tower you will never devour a tribe. The Lord despised all you devils, your hours arrived. Bless the seed that kept the peace. Never forgot the poor and he kept the feast. I'm trying to dodge destruction, they can't stop the seed. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashah, Nagim. Bless the seed that kept the peace. Never forgot the poor and he kept the feast. Trying to dodge destruction, they can't stop the seed. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashah, Nagim.
You're on mute. I unmuted myself. Shalom, shalom, yasha'Allah. Welcome again to another Monday night. Milk Monday class is in session, and we are so glad to be here this evening. We are coming with a mighty lesson again tonight. But before we even get into that, I want to stress and announce that we are right around the corner. We are right around the corner from our first AHOS Passover feast, our very first annual AHOS Passover feast. And so we are diligently working hard to prepare a great evening for you and your family. But I want to stress right now, RSVPs have been closed, or I should say, but you can still get your money in. So if you have not paid yet, please send in your money ASAP. We are only about, I would say, a week away from the feast. So with all due diligence, please get that done so we can have a wonderful night, have a wonderful evening with family and friends through the Spirit, you know what I'm saying, and celebrate this holiday that we're commanded to do so in. Also, just to add to announcements, we also have coming up in May, the weekend of Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. On May 6th, we will be having a unity camp in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't have the flyer up, but I will try to remember as much as I can about it. If anyone wants to attend, please hit up Captain Judah. You can actually hit up the chat here and let us know if you want to attend, and we can make note of that to make sure that you get the information of where that's going to be exactly what time and so forth. Also, anyone who wants to join and build their brick with AHOS, talking about the brothers, we ask that you right. Looking nice on you. Looking nice on you. Au naturel.
Appreciate you. Took the braids up.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. That's au naturel. That's all.
Yeah. Rocking the Yahweh shot today. This might be
There
the
you
last
go.
time y'all see it for a minute though. So get used
There
to
you
it.
go. So
Don't
anyone,
get used to it.
right? Anyone who wants to join and build their brick, please send us an email out. We will be starting a new prospect class very soon. You can email us at AHOS@gmail. I'm sorry, AnointedHOS. AnointedHOS@gmail.com. Salakia. AnointedHOS@gmail.com. Also, any sisters who want to come together with us as a family and help build this congregation, please do the same. Putting your brick in, doing the work, because we need you also. We can't leave out of here without you. So we need you to help us build our kingdom back. We need you to also send an email out to anointedhos@gmail.com. All right. So before we get started with tonight's class, I want to let everyone know that if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. Please like the channel. Please share the channel. Please subscribe to the channel, because that helps us out. More eyes, that means more souls and spirits we can connect with. So please subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell so that you get a notice every time we actually come on live, or if we put in a short video, whatever, you're going to get a notification to know that what do you say? I missed that.
Nah, you good. It was about me. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I ain't trying to get it rebraided, no doubt. But please like, share, and subscribe when you come in the room. Also, before we get started with class, I would like for everyone to get out your notepads, get out your pens, your highlighters, get something to drink, some popcorn, whatever, and let's get situated so we can go ahead and get edified with these precepts and with the class. And after that, I think before I get Captain going, we're going to go ahead and get the shout out. Hope everyone is feeling good tonight. We are only a few days away from Passover, and I'm pretty excited for that. So let's get these shout outs going. First one in the room is our lovely sister Michelle. Shalom, sis. Welcome. Shalom. Shalom. Aisha Thomas. Welcome. Glad to see you. AHOS Nadia, brother. Nice to see you. Sister Christina. Welcome. Sister Azaniah. Welcome, sis. Good to see you. As always, our diligent Sister Joan Gilchrist. Welcome, sister. Glad to see you here. Hope you're feeling better. We got our brother, that mighty Tawabia. I think he's out west, right? Tawabia's out west, if I'm correct. Good to see you, brother. AHOS Kodash. Shalom, family. Peace and blessings to you also. The mighty Kadar Aharon. Shalom, Brew. Shalom, good to see you. AHOS Yaiquab. Good to see you, brother. Can't wait to see you on Passover. We got the mighty Captain Judah. Passover 2023 is a month. It's up on us. Let's go out and rise. Let's go out and shine. Let's go out and have a good time. Hey, let me add something to that real quick before I finish this. Look, we're going to have a good time, y'all. We're going to have a good lesson. We're going to have good food, and we're going to have some good entertainment. I think we even got 2 DJs that's going to be on the ones and twos. We got our Captain Judah and Captain Shaquat. Along with that, we even have in-house entertainment. Just to give a few names out there, I'm going to shout out to Captain Jonathan, who's going to be bringing it out. I'm going to give a shout out to even Sis Abaya the Humble. She's going to be bringing some things out. Yours truly not is going to try and entertain and do something for you. So we got a lot of things going on. We have a wonderful time in the Lord. So I hope everyone can make it out. But let me go ahead and finish. Let's see who we got now. I think I said Captain. That's it, Captain Jonathan. Shalom, Captain Jonathan. Shalom. We got B. Isaiah. Shalom, brother. Good to see you. GW, good to see you. Also, always good to see our brother, Malak Yawasap. Shalom, brother. And as always, shalom to our brother Boaz. Good to see you, brother. Shalom, Sister Michaela Perry. Good to see you, sis. Shalom, Zanaya. Got to give it up to DTA Twan on the set. DTA Twan. Good to see you, brother. Shalom. AHOS, brother Yawasap, up there in the Midwest, holding it down in Chi-Town. Good to see you, brother. Shalom, AHOS Shemaiah. Shalom, brother. Let's see who we got. I think that may be all. Nope. We got a few more down here. We got the mighty Captain Yahawada from the Bay. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Can't wait to see you for Passover. Let's see who else we got. Here's a name I don't remember. King Nappy. All right. Shalom, brother. Shalom. And I believe that's it. If I did not get everyone, or if I missed anyone, Salakia for that. But now we are going to go ahead and turn this over, get this class started. Everybody get hyped up. Let's get it and give it up for our brother, for a good Captain Eliel. Shalom. Over to you, Cap.
Hey, shalom, y'all. Shalom.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to do some.
Oh, go ahead. Eat that.
There we go.
Oh. Not then cop the soundboard for us.
There we go.
All right, bet.
Shalom. All right.
All right, y'all. So, shalom. We want to start by giving all honor and praise and glory to the Most High Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai, right? So y'all see I'm rocking my Yahweh Shai fro today. Basically what we got going on, man, it's a lesson we did a long time ago on the channel. Yeah, con. I got it out. But this is a lesson that we did a while ago on the channel. Well, the other channel, you know what I'm saying? 2 years ago, matter of fact. So I figured, we're going to do it again. Got a different video where we could bring out a lot better information, if that makes sense, right? To kind of prove who is who. So, yeah, hey, Shalom Maharan. But we're going to get into it. It's going to be a nice video. The first video we're going to start with is actually from Sa-Netta. So a lot of y'all brothers and sisters know who that is, The reason I decided to do this class actually is because there was a brother I spoke to after camp, actually, before we went and to go eat, you know what I'm saying? And the brother hopped out the car on me while I was walking back to the car and asked me yo, you want an Israelite? I said, yeah, obviously. You see how I'm dressed and everything. I got the crown on and the fringes and all that stuff, right? And he goes, so the whole conscious community down here? I said, well, yeah, you in Atlanta, it's a lot of us down here and stuff. And we get into a little conversation. Me, him, and the 3 dudes he had in the car with him over us being Egyptians or Israelites, right? And they apparently was in the Nuwapianism and all that type of stuff. So hence why I'm doing the class. Just decided to do a little something, kind of prove who we are and give you guys their perspective as well, so that you guys can hear how stupid their arguments are, right? And how stupid a lot of the stuff that they say is versus the stuff that we teach and the scholarly studies that we put behind the stuff that we teach. All right. Before we get started though, I had something in my notes that I forgot I had in my notes, and well, I wanna bring it out. So let me see if I can pull this thing up right quick. Give me 2 seconds. All right, bet. So this is from a debate. It happened a long time ago. Some of y'all might have seen it. Some of you might not have seen it. It was from Egypt on trial, right? So Kemet on trial is what it was called. I'm gonna call it Egypt though, because that's what we consider it to be. House of bondage. So I'm gonna just read this right quick, because a lot of things that the Egyptologists say, people that believe in Egypt or people that trust in Egypt, they'll bring stuff out basically to try to make it seem as if the Bible is fake and Egypt is real and everything from the Bible came from Egypt, right? So this isn't gonna debunk that per se, but it'll debunk the fact that even the Egyptian scholars know much about Egypt, because they don't know as much as the Egyptian chematologists and Egyptologists would have you to believe, right? And these guys on Sinetta that we're gonna listen to in a minute, they're gonna make it seem as if they got all the facts straight, which we know when they get to debating us, they typically don't. So let's see what this says. Sorry if y'all can't read it. Try to zoom in as much as I can. This is from the West Car Papyrus. It says the second story told by Khafira is set during the reign of one of the Khufu's predecessors, King Nabakaz. Chief lecturer Ubakar finds that his wife. Nah, hold on. This ain't the one I want. Let's do the chronology one. All right. Chronology, the answer to book 2 by Ken Ham. Ironically. It says Ptolemy II commissioned a priest named Manetho to compile a history of Egypt. However, the Manetho's writings are unsuitable for establishing a reliable Egyptian chronology, because Manetho never intended it to be a chronological account of history, right? So a lot of the times these Egyptologists will try to debunk the Bible by saying we don't know if any of these people existed, right? And the reason why is simply because when you go into Genesis and Exodus, mainly Exodus, the Pharaoh that is supposed to be known as the Pharaoh during the time of Moses isn't a Pharaoh that they can line up with that time period in history. Well, the reason why their time period is messed up is because the chronology that they got comes from Ptolemy and this Manetho guy. And as we're about to see here, according to their own writings, they don't have the chronology correct. And they're about 700 to 800 years off, right? It says, Manetho never intended it to be a chronological account of history, and it is inconsistent with the contemporary Egyptian sources. Several Egyptian pharaohs have ruled at the same time in different regions of the lands as David Brown, the archaeologist states, and in different regions, Salakia, and Manetho's writings only survived partially preserved. So Manetho's writings are partially preserved, and they have conflicting timelines where multiple pharaohs are ruling Egypt at the same time, right? Which means that if that's the case, there's obviously something wrong with that. So, just wanted to kind of put that out there. Let me see what else I could bring out. It says carbon dating, because it's something else that they use, right? Carbon dating shows that it also disputes traditional dating, according to the Cambridge Encyclopedia, and it shows that ancient Egypt is 600 to 700 years more recent than what they call it. Recently, they found out it's actually 700 to 800 years more recent. This is from 2015. So, and we got some more stuff with that we'll be bringing out a little bit later. But I just wanted to bring that out before we get into the video, just to kind of set the precedent. But y'all hit the like button as y'all come in the building. We're going to go ahead and get into this.
Economics, politics, and culture, right?
And the conference is going to have Dr. Theophilo Binga, Anthony Browder, Dr. Wade Nobles, Mama Jeffries, Baba Jeffries, Dr. Leonard Jeffries.
There's no more greater knowledge in self than we have than the Nile. The Nile is the pinnacle right now of the expression of African genius.
When the European slave trade came, The Arabs actually was introducing it to them. They were already using the slave trade since 640.
Well, keep in mind that the conference wasn't canceled at first.
So for those of you that don't know what this is the House of Consciousness, right? This is Sinetta Judah. This man, Judah. This is Sinetta Studios, brother. I didn't want to get a man a shout out. But yeah. Sinetta, right? King of the dummies. So this is the conscious community, right? House of Consciousness. These brothers are supposed to be the smart brothers and sisters in our community. They're actually how I got woke up, if you will, to the truth. I was debating the conscious community or learning from them and ended up stumbling into the truth and ended up debating them and then got kicked out of Georgia State. So that's how that happened, right? But these brothers and sisters here, specifically the ones we're going to see in this video, they believe that we're Egypt, or that we're Egyptians, that we're the original Egyptians. Some of them believe in Jesus or Mashiach Yahushua as a black man. The ones that do teach that he was an Egyptian, or that, you know, he at least wore an ankh and not the cross, because they say that the cross is just an ankh from Egypt that's it don't got the circle on it or whatever for the woman's part. It's like the cross of death and one's the cross of life is what they say, right? So that being the case, some of them believe in Jesus, some of them are going to say that they don't believe in him and that they don't know who he is and that he didn't exist. But regardless of the fact, they all get their information from Hamites, from actual African people, right? And the names that they're going to bring out, you guys can Google on your own, you can do the research. None of them are our people, right? They're not bringing up Dr. Ben Yakanans. They're not bringing up, you know, anybody from here that moved over there or that grew up over there, any of the black people that changed their name, the African names that from Chicago or Philadelphia. They're not bringing up none of them people. These guys are going to be talking about actual Africans, Kenyans, people from the Congo, right? People from Zimbabwe, like these type of people. No, I got you. So that's basically just, you know, how that goes. So I want y'all to understand that too, that the information these guys are getting isn't coming from our people or coming from people that give a damn about our people. They're getting information from Hamites about Hamites and then trying to match us with that information, right? So keep that in mind as y'all watch these videos. And then we're going to prove with another video that everything they said was wrong.
We were
another video and the Bible.
All still going to go. However, it's when the elders got threats, you know, bodily harm. But keep in mind, you have 200 something people coming, and you have elders bringing their grandchildren with them. I'm a soldier. I'm ready to go. But at the same time, you don't want to purposely put people in harm's way. And so this is why we postponed it and didn't announce it, so that they couldn't sabotage.
He's talking about something that they was doing.
But, you know, they don't come from that area. They don't know what is necessarily a credible threat versus what's not. So, you know, now, some years before that, a Chinese tourist group, someone set off.
My bad, yo.
No hiccups. And, you know, they'll be going back, you know, and so.
All right. So, of course, I wasn't able to make that trip, but, you know, I'm glad it was successful regardless. So, Sarah had mentioned the Martin Delaney Center for Egyptology. You know, so we have what we call like schools of Egyptology. So we might say the German school. We may say the French school. We may say.
Now, mind you, what he's about to explain is why they don't have an American school of Egyptology, or what they're trying to say is that they're trying to form the African-American school of Egyptology, right? They have these white people schools, the German school, the French school, the English school, right? The American school, and now the African-American are trying to make a school under the Hopi line, right? Diop and stuff, make themselves Diopian scholars and Hopians and stuff like that. So which are African people basically that basically have a bunch of African Americans that are Egyptologists and Afrocentrics that have gone over there to study under these people, right? And are trying to match our lineage with their lineage. They haven't really been successful. They lose a lot of their debates, but they're still trying. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically the line that these guys come from. Okay.
Say the Spanish school or the American school. So that's about the mentality that comes out of those places. Then we have the Diopian scholars. So those Africans who learn from the teachings of Shekantejot and then apply that to what we're calling Egyptology, or we may even say Kemetology, if you will, from an African-centered perspective.
So look, they're talking about Kemetology from an African-centered perspective, right? So they're getting the facts on Kemet or Egypt from actual Africans, right? Now, this is good for if you want to know the history on Egypt, but it's bad if you're trying to find, if you're an African American trying to figure out your history. Because what they're going to explain to you later on in this video, they don't consider the original Egyptians, quote unquote, black. They just call them African, even though they know they were brown skinned people, because they consider us to be not African people, right? The Kemetian scholars, Egyptian scholars, they don't consider us to be African people, right? Kind of like the Zondervan Bible Dictionary doesn't consider us to be African people. And there, you know, Zondervan is a white family that studies the Levant region, which would include Egypt, right? So those are things we got to think about there, but I'm gonna let them explain.
And Kemet or Egypt in its proper African context. So,
let me show y'all this right quick too, just so y'all know what Diopian scholars are, because y'all might hear that a little bit more in the video. We're gonna play a little bit of it, so I want to make sure nobody gets lost. Diopian scholars. It says, who are we? The mission of Diopian Institute of Scholarly Advancement is to create and promote Afrocentric scholarship and to build upon the research of Shekanka or Sheikh Anta Diop, right? Or Diop, however you pronounce it, in African. Our guiding philosophy is Afrocentric scholarship for the upliftment of African people and for the betterment of the world. So this is for the upliftment of African people, but these African American people are trying to latch on to it, right? And make it a scholarly thing that we bring here in the United States for, you know, African American studies scholars and stuff like that, which of course is just going to leave us more and more confused because this isn't anything to do with us, right? Which they've been trying to tell these people that by labeling the people of Kemet not black, because black is a term just for the Israelites who are quote unquote African Americans, which isn't actually a nation, right? So the term black goes for the brown skinned people that don't have a nation attached to them because they're lost, right? So they're not going to call the Egyptians or Cometians black because Kemet is there. They know where the hell these people belong, right? In Egypt, in Kemet. So they're not lost. There's no need to call them black. Black is a term, it's a byword for a lost people, right? A specific lost people at that. So if you're not a part of those specific lost people, they're not going to label you black. They wouldn't label the damn Egyptians African American, right? Just like they're not going to label an African American an actual African because you're not one. That's just how it works. But these guys, as smart as they are, they don't get it yet. But hopefully one day they will.
We may not hear much about the African American school or mentality of each child, even though we already have that, but we decided to put a name to it. Okay? So Martin Delaney, many don't know that Martin Delaney was very knowledgeable when it came to ancient Kemet. Okay? In fact, he did a lecture in 1852. In 1852, he said that the Ethiopians and the Egyptians are the first of all men to recognize the similitude between man and God.
Now, I want to point this out because this guy, you know, you might think he sounds smart. If you look up Martin Delaney, during the time of Martin Delaney, he's from the 1800s, right? White people were, some of them, many of them in the United States, were still calling us Ethiopian, right? Ethiopian was a word that means black. So when they say Egyptians and Ethiopians were the first people to know the similitude between man and God, It's because they knew that we were Israelites and they called us Ethiopian. That was a term that they used for us here. It was a term they used for the Native Americans here. Right? So that's also something that you have to keep in mind. But these guys, what they do in the conscious community, they'll give you information half truth like. They won't tell you the whole truth or bring out the whole fact about the thing that they brought out. They'll just tell you a little bit of it to fit the narrative that they're trying to, fit, right? Which is why he went ahead and told you, hey, Martin Delaney, a black journalist from the 1800s, told us that the Ethiopians and the Egyptians are the first people to know the similitude between man and God. Well, he was talking about the Israelites and the Egyptians, because the Israelites weren't known as Israelites in the 1800s to a black man. They would have been called Ethiopians, because that's what the term was. If you were going to call a black man but you didn't want to call him black, you didn't want to call him a nigger, because black wasn't the word they were using in the 1800s. It was nigger, right? If you didn't want to call the brother nigger, you would call him Ethiopian. They weren't using the words colored in 1836, right?
Salakia, that's Salakia. That's and what you're really saying is that Ethiopia was used as a colloquial term, just like we have in America today when we say black. So it's the same thing. Then
it's just a word that means burnt face.
Con.
So moving on, and just another fact on that before I continue. Columbus's writings on the Native Americans, right, said that they were burnt face as the Ethiopians, or brown skin as the Ethiopians, right? Depending on which type of translation you read.
Let's say that again. Martin Delaney, 1852, said, the Ethiopians and Egyptians are the first of all men to recognize the similitude between man and God. So he had this knowledge, as well as, others in that era. So there was never a point where the knowledge of our African ancestors was not known. Now, we know that it was suppressed, but we always had the knowledge among us, whether it was popular.
Now, what we know was suppressed because they aren't suppressing anything about anybody being Egyptian, right? Brothers could call themselves Egyptians all day long. The white man is just going to come out and say, well, I'm an Egyptian too, right? Because technically he is. They ran Egypt for a long time, right? You had Alexander, you had Ptolemy, you had Antiochus, right? Antiochus Epiphanes. You had a whole bunch of crackers ran Egypt, right? Caesar and them was even over there. So what you have to understand is Esau is an Egyptian, right? And the Hamites are Commission. We were the slaves there both times. We're not the people. Just because you was there don't mean you're the people, right? That's what we have to understand. If you see people with waves there, great. Waves come from Egyptians. That was an Egyptian hairstyle. Pomade and stuff like that, the stuff you put on the waves, the grease, that's something that was made over there. They just use it a whole lot more than we do. They put the whole can of Murray's on their hand for one day. You know what I'm saying? But it came from them. That's where it comes from. So there's even certain hairstyles that we wear now that brothers are still wearing, because spiritually you was the people that was there, just like you spiritually here again, right? Spiritual Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah. So these brothers are attaching themselves to things based off little inklings of things they could put in Egypt that we do, right? Or people, inklings of things that are quotes from people that went over there and heard some things that might be similar to stuff that we do, but they're not actually taking into account Israel's right down the street from Egypt. So when you say, oh, we go to West Africa and we hear people say that, we come from the East, these people didn't find out how far east the people were talking about. When we go to West Africa, we do find out. We talk to the elders. They tell us the place is actually Israel, right? But these folks, they hear East and then they run straight to Egypt without getting the rest of the information. And that's basically what they're teaching. Okay.
Or not. So that's the backing behind Martin Delaney Center for Egyptology, started by Brother Simon Tep and myself. And, we're going to, keep pushing it forward.
So this school for Egyptology wasn't started by real Egyptologists. It was started by the brother that you saw at the beginning that could barely speak, and this dude that doesn't even seem to know that black people in America were considered Ethiopians during the time of Martin Delaney.
As a contribution, to, the African Center scholarship, that we hope to, combine with other scholars among us, our elders, and those who are coming up. So, yeah.
Brother Asar, what was it like when you first stepped foot in Kemet?
Well, my first trip to Kemet was in 2003. And so, of the monuments, and then it's another thing to be able to stand there and to see for yourself what is going on and what was done. And it also allowed me to see certain things that they didn't show a lot when they show Egypt, in terms of how the people were depicted, the wood carvings of the population and the like, with their afros and waves and the like, and their dark skin and their brown skin, and so it was.
Now I want to put this out there too, right? There was a time when people who descend from our people ran Egypt, right? So not only were we there as slaves, there was a time where we actually ran Egypt. So you wouldn't think that there would be people, statues, figures that resemble us, people on the wall. There's images of slaves, Israelite slaves, on the walls in Egypt, right? Depending on whether this brother knows what he's talking about, because he's going to be very vague on what he sees and what he explains, right? Depending on the pictures he was looking at, he could have been looking at actual pictures of Israelites and not pictures of Egyptians at all, right? Because we're on the walls in Egypt where they have statues of us, right? What he's about to explain is the Arabs that are there now changing the look of the people and stuff. So I don't really care about that. But
I was expecting to with it in, and there's a guy sitting there just chipping off the hieroglyphs like it's just nothing. Like, this isn't 3,000 years of history, and that's why I made it an emphasis to note that it's the Arab Republic of Egypt currently. The culture is Islam, and these carvings and the like, which
the specific stuff I want you to hear.
It may not be there, saying in the future, because of the sentiments and the culture that currently dominates there.
Christianity has not been stolen from.
All right.
That. So let me come to my brother here. Brother, when you hear people say things like Christianity has not been stolen from Kemet, or you can't find the likeness of Kemet in Christianity, you've been to Egypt. What goes through your mind when you hear people say things like that? Well, no, it ain't been plagiarized. They say Christianity have not been plagiarized from Kemet. Have you ever heard that yourself?
Wow. Sometimes it just amazes me how people think when it comes down to, religion. And religion in itself it's a form of control mechanism. The Bible.
Religion is kind of a form of control mechanism, right? It's a discipline. It's a discipline. It's what you go back to. It's what keeps you in order, right? So, the thing is with us, though, I guess if you will, you could call being an Israelite a religion, right? We use a book that has our order in it, but it's not a religion in the sense that this guy's talking about, right? Not a religion in the sense of Christianity or even Egyptology and Afrocentrism and all that other stuff, African spirituality, right? It's not the same as a religion like that. But what I want you guys to understand in regards to what he's about to talk about, this is something that they teach a lot in the conscious community, in the Egyptian community, right? Or not Egyptian community, but the Egyptologist community. These brothers and sisters teach that, Jesus wore Ankh. They teach he was a black man, and the ones that exist or that teach he existed teach he wore Ankh. And that the cross is something that you can wear, but it's the cross of death. And, we're supposed to wear the cross of life. And a lot of that is the reason why you see a lot of young sisters and even brothers wearing ankhs and stuff these days. It's not so much because they think that they're Egyptian or that they're Egyptologists. It's because there's actual literal false doctrine being taught by people like this that teach Jesus was a man that walked the earth, but instead of wearing the cross that comes from the white Greek man, he wore the ankh that comes from the black Egyptian man, right? They're the same thing. It's a cross. They just, one's the cross of life, putting the woman above the man. One's the cross of death with nobody there, right? So let's hear what he's about to say.
In itself means the Latin word for it, bibliotos. It's the Latin word or the Greek word for it. So it means sun book. So hearing that.
Now, something else that they do, right? They repeat BS. The Bible isn't called Heliobiblios, right? Hold on just a second. The Bible was called La Biblios, right? Let me Google this. Hold on. You got anything to say? Knock, while I do this right quick. Keep talking, you're on mute.
You wanted me to say something while you, what are you look? You queuing up something?
Yeah, I'm trying to look up something. I was asking if you had something you want to say, anything to comment on while I do this.
I mean, the conscious community always baffles me because they come with like this high knowledge that they have, some kind of high knowledge that they seek. And to be quite honest, some of the conversations I've had with some who are in the conscious community, I actually get lost in their conversation because they bring out so much wild stuff that can't really be substantiated. They go from one era to another era, and then they want to blast out about, when it comes to us, relying on the scriptures. Well, I think, what is that one? One of the things is about the 42 laws of what is that God? Mayat or something like that. They try to say that everything originated from them or from the Egyptians, and they don't want to attest the fact that they actually put their slaves and depictions of their slaves on their walls, along with their, with their pharaohs and their other people. It's funny to me. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting though to listen to them just ramble on and not make sense. That's how I look at it.
So the smart man that's been to Egypt and knows so much of what he's talking about, right? Just told us that it's Heliobibliotos.
Right.
First of all, bibliotos, no, brother. In Helio, sun book. So Heliobiblos is something that they considered it when they started worshiping on Sunday. We know that wasn't a thing that they were doing from the beginning, right? You can look up when that started. So that's a relatively new thing when it comes to Christianity. So Heliobiblios wouldn't have been what they called it. La Biblios, the books, is what it was called, as you see here, right? Biblios is Greek. Papyrus, which is what they would have called the Egyptian stuff, right? The paper, received its early Greek name Biblios, right? Because papyrus is what the Egyptians called it. That's where we get the word paper from, right? And the Greeks just copy Egyptians in a lot of things. So they took the word papyrus and made it paper. But before that, in the Greek, it was biblos, right? Biblos. And la is the in Latin or Greek. So it was la biblos, the books or the papyrus, right? Now, Heliobiblos, right? Because these guys, like I said, they just be saying stuff. They just repeat BS.
Right.
So I want to bring some out just to show you. This is from a guy named Tezerah Davis, right? 8 months ago. This is Quora.com. Because they be just trying to spread the BS information. Somebody that's unknowing is going to read this and think, yeah, this dude sounds smart. Oh my God, he's deep. It says, yes, the Bible was originally written as Heliobiblos. He might have saw the video of a Sinetta. He about to damn near say what the bald dude about to say right now. This might be the bald dude. I don't know. And was intended to teach the carbon-based community. Anytime you hear something like that, you know this dude is stupid. He's smarter than he think he is, but not really smart. People of color, the carbon-based community, people of color, the melanations and stuff, how to reach the Christ consciousness, right? Enlightenment and heaven, whatever you may call it. So heaven ain't a place that is rulership. It's a consciousness of enlightenment or whatever you call it. Heliobiblos means the book of the sun. The sun, nature, and we are the only energy source closest to God. I think he meant to say closest. He said closest to God, and God isn't even God. It is just a balance between divine masculine and feminine energy. I'm not going to read anymore because you can tell where this is going. But that is the conscious community. As you see, he's awake, but he's not conscious, right?
Right.
Very much sleep. So that's the type of stuff they put out there, right? So knowing that and hearing that, now listen to what the master teacher is actually going to say.
You got to put two and two together. If you're a person that is African centered, you'll be able to understand.
If you're of the carbon-based community,
the significance. So we all know that when we talk about the Neter, we're talking about Amun Ra. Amun Ra can be referred as the hidden sun, or Ra being the revealing of the sun.
So you see how they just did that? They brought out something with the word helio. They put biblos behind it, right? He didn't even say a word. He said bibliotos. That could mean something completely different. I have no idea. But helio biblos, he put that behind it, and now he done brought out some Egyptian stuff talking about Amun Ra and the sun to try to make it seem like it makes sense, right? To somebody that knows nothing about what they're talking about, which is the majority of the people on side of this channel, which is why he has 182,000 subscribers. These people don't know they don't know any better. They think these people know better, so they listen to what these people say, and then they regurgitate that BS, right? Even though it's easily verifiable information. You can just Google search. The Bible was never called Heliobiblos. It was a nickname basically given to it after it was moved to sun worship. Hello, the book that we use on Sunday, the Sun Book. That's where Heliobiblos come from. But one of these knuckleheads done found that out and then tried to make it seem like it's the name of the Bible. Well, why don't we call it Sun Bible now? Why do we still call it the Bible, which is the same thing as La Biblos?
Right.
Damn. So, you know, he said, isn't all life carbon-based? Neptali Ben Oye. You Igbo or Yoruba? Let me know. And yeah, he's Sudi, he's Sudo. How about that? A lot of them romanticize Egypt. But yeah, not to say we're not carbon-based, but you know, we wouldn't, just like you said, all life is carbon, so we wouldn't consider ourselves a carbon-based community. We would just consider ourselves the community of the Israelites. We'd much like that name a lot better because it's the nation we were given, the name in the title we were given, as opposed to carbon-based people or melanated people or melanations or whatever else people like to call it. Oh, that's Neptali. What's up, King? That's Neptali. It's my brother. He was at the crib a couple of days ago. But
so there's so many different correlations that
Neptali, you didn't change your name to Ben Oye? Hold on, you can't get away.
Oh, wait a minute. This
yeah.
Oh, what's up, bro? Okay, now I know who it is. Shalom.
That people can't really fathom until they really start really delving into the research. And it's important to do the research. When you look at the different verses in the Bible where they talked about, I think it was in John verse 6, John 6:23 or something like that, where it says, bring the boy child to Egypt.
Nah, he's wrong. But you know, wait, watch what he's about to say, because he's about to say something that's
Egypt. They were talking about the so-called Jesus. Where did he go? He went to Egypt, stayed there for how many years, came back when he was 33, started doing these miraculous miracles. He studied amongst the priests that were there.
Do you hear that? He tried to say that Jesus did miraculous miracles because he studied from the priests in Egypt.
Wow.
And watch.
According to the biblical aspect of it. But when
so he's trying to say the Bible.
You saying the Bible says that?
He just taught on a national televised 182,000 subscriber count channel that the Bible says that Jesus went to Egypt for 33 years and came back for a year to do miraculous miracles and learned 33 years of Egyptian magic.
Boy.
Egyptian love.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant earlier when I say they just run at the mouth and have no clue as to what they're even talking about.
It's hilarious. Yeah, you
Just
see,
trying to make
Jonathan, that's
themselves
the same
sound good.
face. It's the same face I made.
Yeah. What that say? Is that before studied in India?
Yeah. That's a good question. Hey, he said he spent the whole time from the time he was dead. I mean, from the time he was born to the time he just popped up.
Wow.
He was in Egypt just learning Egyptian stuff.
Never went to the feast.
And you start going back.
And the Bible says it. But watch this. Watch how he 360 flip. First Jesus learned from the Egyptians. Now this.
And you start doing the research, you start seeing, well, he probably never even exists. But this
didn't exist. When you do the research, he didn't even exist. When you do the research, he probably didn't even exist. So what research are you doing to get more probable answers? Why don't we get facts from research? Isn't that what research is for? Facts? Just, didn't seem to. He was real confident about everything else that came out of his mouth, right? He didn't say it was probably heliobibliotos. He didn't say probably anything. But when it comes to Jesus not being here, he probably didn't even exist after you do the research. You see? But not paying attention, that just would go over your head like he knows what he's talking about.
This is just, like I said, a control mechanism to actually control the people. That's what the religion
seems like a control mechanism to just control the people.
Is all about. So when you're actually when you go there and you see it for yourself, you start to see Kamenu, who is the deity. You would see him. I think he was depicted as a ram face, and he has a man, potters, where he's actually fashioning him. Now I think that's in Genesis, where the making of man, where man came from the muds of the earth. Well, you can see that if you go to Kemet, you'll see it. It's written on the walls. So
now, something else I want to point about this, right? Just like you see things about the flood written on the walls in Egypt, and you see the flood stories in China, and you see the flood stories in India. Different nations have stories about man being made from the dust of the ground, because everybody knows we was all brown skinned at the beginning, right? So that being the case, if we believe the Bible story, the Bible narrative is true, Noah did have 3 sons that populated the earth. So if Noah was around for that, and he's got to give the story to the kids to disseminate to their kids so that we know how everything started, wouldn't it make sense that Egypt know the story too? It's not like the thing he just mentioned was central just to the Israelites. That was a world global event that he just mentioned, right?
Right.
Just like the flood.
Yep.
So, just wanted to point that out there. Man being made from the dust of the ground is something that everybody would know about, because those people, everybody would be connected to it. So everybody should have a story saying that. That's not something that, the Egyptians say man was made from the dust of the ground, so we got to be the Egyptians. Well, the Bible says that the Hebrews said that man was made from the dust of the ground. We can actually read it. You can't read anything in Egyptian because you Negroes can't read the Netter, right? So if that's the case, we can read the Hebrew. Y'all can't read the Netter. Can't fully translate it correctly and stuff like that. And we can actually see that ours says man's made from the dust of the ground. Why isn't more of y'all trying to call yourself the Israelites? like the Moorish Science Temple people be doing, right? That's why the Moors split. They could be Israelite, Moabite, or Canaanite / Egyptian, right? Because they understand, based off the facts and the knowledge, the Israelites and the people that kept their records and preserved their records actually have more facts proving that we belong to those people than Moabites and Canaanite Egyptians do, right?
Right.
So,
There's just so many things where we can just actually make the comparison between the two, where there's no way that they can say that this hasn't came from there. It's like it's just ludicrous to me. So you just have to go there, like Asar Hotep said. You have to go there, see it for yourself, see the writings on the wall, take pictures. They're really adamant about actually just destroying these monuments. And if we don't go there, and actually, this past trip hasn't been a vacation, it has been a pilgrimage. So just actually dipping my feet and washing my face in the Happy River, it was just exhilarating. And
if I'm not mistaken, it's called the Hopi River, right?
Right.
He
That's
can't
what I
even
thought.
pronounce the damn name.
He
of the
said
river.
I was gonna ask him. I know it was a happy river. And
He's from there, right? From there. He's
Right.
Egyptian. He about to. I'm gonna let him finish.
you can't duplicate that experience anywhere else. Not in the Mississippi River, Amazon River. This is where our people come from. This is our lineage. This is in our...
So that's our lineage. He pronounced Mississippi better than he pronounced Hopi. It's got a whole lot less syllables and a whole lot less letters, but he pronounced Mississippi better. Mississippi is a Gadite word. It's the name of a tribe, the Mississippi, right? So, yeah. Just saying. In Mississippi would be closer to Hebrew than Hopi.
in our DNA. They can't stop it. You know, it's all in us. You see it in hip hop. You know, the spoken word. You see it in graffiti. Come on, you gotta know.
Graffiti. Let's look up graffiti, right? This is the stuff they say. They just be talking, just say things, spews out their mouth, right? And it make you sound smart. Then you'll be looking, you pass the train with all of the graffiti on it while you're listening to this. Like, damn, that's right. Look at that graffiti. Yeah, that's us. He ain't explaining to you the graffiti in Egypt isn't words. It's not writing like you see at the train station. It's not the stuff you see downtown on the buildings. It's not the stuff you see on the wall or on the billboards. Those are words, characters. In Egypt, it's pictographs. Negro, they drew pictures like a little kid, drawing colors and stuff.
Right.
We wrote words, you know, cursive writings and different writing styles and stuff like that, right? Some of graffiti looks like Paleo Hebrew. But let's prove why that is. Why is it our people do the graffiti and nobody else does it? This is from Princeton EDU. Writing on the wall is what this is called, right? Graffiti and the Forgotten Jews of Antiquity. Now, we know who the Jews of Antiquity are, right? That's not the crackerjackers. That would be us, guys. So, says, just like their neighbors throughout the eastern and southern Mediterranean, Mesopotamia, Arabia, and Egypt, where they did the pictographs and the colored pictures like the little kids, the ancient Jews scribbled and drew graffiti every place. In and around the markets, hippodromes, theaters, pagan temples, because, you know, we had those, open cliffs, sanctuaries, and even inside burial caves and synagogues. Ain't that something niggas would do? Yo, let's paint the synagogue, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's good. All right, bet. You know what I'm saying? You know this was us. So graffiti is something we did too. More so the same graffiti that we see now in America, as opposed to us drawing Anubis and dogs and, well, heck, let me show you some graffiti from Egypt right quick, right? Before I play the rest of this other video, I'm gonna play the last little bit of this dude clip, but it's one more video I want to play y'all. But before I get that, let me show you a little bit of graffiti. All right. So look. You see this?
You gonna put this?
This is Egyptian graffiti. Okay. Have you ever seen a brother or sister draw anything like this in California?
Wow.
Atlanta, New York, Houston, Baton Rouge, Detroit, Flint. You ain't never seen that. No. But you see it in Egypt. All over the place. Everywhere. Right? This is the funerary papyrus. So that's Kemet, right? We'll get back to that a little later, though. That's a little later, right? So, yeah, Egyptian graffiti, a lot different than Israelite graffiti, I might say. But let me play the rest of this video.
I know there's some type of DNA connection. You know, where do we get that from? You know,
I don't feel no DNA connection to Egypt. In fact, when you do a DNA test, you don't even get no damn results from Egypt. Very rarely do our people get Egyptian or Ethiopian results. Kenyan, very rarely. Very, 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 very rarely. So we've now shown graffiti, at least the graffiti we see here in America isn't the graffiti that they did there. You know, if we get into the way they worship and things they did, which we will in a little bit, we'll prove that they're not the same people as us. Just the whole way they lived as Egyptians proves that they're not the same people as us. Right? We're a nomadic people. We're still like that today. We like to move around, all that type of stuff. Right? We like to dwell in tents. For the vast majority of us before America, we wasn't with the homosexual stuff.
No.
These people, though, however, Egyptians, as you just saw in that little bit of graffiti, which was two of their gods, might I add, in intercourse with each other, and they're both male. Those, you know,
looked like they was having it with themselves, not just with each other.
Yeah. We'll explain it though, because it's another slide that explains it. That was only one part of the piece of the wall. It's a whole like story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you go to Egypt and see that, it's a whole story. That was only like literally one square that could fit on the camera. So
that's wild.
Yeah. Check this out.
I mean, we had to come from that bloodline.
Okay. Now watch this. This is how they know that we didn't come from that bloodline.
Just like Akhenaten, and he was working at an airport, and I should have asked.
And then he said he went to Egypt and saw these brothers that looked just like the Egyptian people, which would make sense because you're in Egypt. Not in West Africa, he saw people that look like Akhenaten. He's in Egypt and sees a nigga that looks like Akhenaten. Like, bro, you're in Egypt. They from there. They ain't all get kicked out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That might have been Akhenaten. You know what I'm saying? Now his name's Akabubu. But he spirit the same. You know what I mean?
To take his photo. You know, as a light-skinned brother. I should have, you know, but I didn't want to be that like that dude. Like, you know, can I take your picture?
I want y'all to hear right here. Then we're gonna move to the next one. If my video decides to play.
East is by trying to show division between Kemet and Nubia. So it's so important that we understand the history. How we begin, we're just unraveling or just linking together, unraveling the mystery of the kingdoms of the now, and showing that Egypt and Kemet were actually really one nation, and that they had a friendly.
Egypt and Kemet were one nation because Egypt and Kemet are the same place. He's a dummy, but he's about to say something very smart. Watch.
Relationship with one another. Yeah, there was times where there may have been.
He meant Nubia and Kemet, but yeah.
An issue, but not.
And Nubia started Kemet, which would be why they would be friends, because they're both Hamites. It's little brother and big brother. You know what I'm saying? So if they go and start a nation together, of course they're gonna be cool at the beginning. It's little brother, big brother. But as time goes on, big brother gotta be big brother. Little brother wants more power. So they end up fighting, and then there's a split. Just like everybody else's family, right? But again, storylines between two Hamites, right? This isn't a Jacob and Esau story, and then they become two different nations. Kemet in Ethiopia is still Africans today, right now.
Right.
Not the narrative the Egyptologists are trying to portray. Because when they do that, they try to make it seem like it's black versus brown or black versus other.
Now watch this. He was just talking about two African people, Egyptians, Kemetians, and Ethiopians, right? Now he's about to try to snake us on in the conversation, and he's going to explain how the scholars, the Egyptologist scholars, they don't even consider us to be Africans, which is why they don't connect us to Egypt. So the scholars themselves don't connect African American people to Egypt. Why are African Americans trying to connect themselves to Egypt? The scholars do have proof of connecting us to Israel because most of them aren't Jewish. They don't have no problem with that. The majority of your white archaeologists have no problem with finding black bones in Israel. The people that do have a problem with them finding black bones in Israel is the Jewish people. You understand what I'm saying? There's videos online where you can find white archaeologists telling you Jesus was black.
Right.
You know, the Israelites were a nation of black people, dark-skinned people, like the people in West Africa.
Yeah.
Many of them, the Igbo, say that there's white archaeologists that have no problem saying that. Scientists that have no problem saying that. It's the Jewish man that has a problem with it coming out because then it would destroy the narrative of who they claim to be. But the scientists don't have a problem with it. So when the scientists tell you, no, you African Americans aren't Africans, you're not Egyptian, you're the other people that's right next door, right? You come from the East, which the next video is going to prove to us, right? With sources. Unlike anybody these people brought out. These people just repeat Africans, right? Don't write no books. They just go and talk to them and then they tell you stuff and then they come back with their names. We're going to get sources in the next video. But listen to what he says. It's going to be real profound in about 5 seconds or maybe 10.
They will never clearly identify the ancient Kemetu or the ancient Egyptians. They just tell you that they're other. And the way they do that is by redefining what black is. You understand what I'm saying? Like a black American would not be, or an African American Foundation of Black American, whatever you want to call black people here in the Western Hemisphere, they would not define us as Africans. American Foundation of Black American, whatever you want to call black people here in the Western Hemisphere, they would not define us as Africans. American Foundation of Black American, whatever you want to call black people here in the Western Hemisphere, they would not define us as Africans.
You understand? Yeah. Do you get it now? Huh? He even said it with a smile on his face.
Right.
They don't define us as Africans. No scholar defines us as Africans.
Nope.
That's why on paper they call us African Americans, because you're still not defined as an African if you're an African American. You're two nations. You're confused. You're a confused Negro. Right.
Afro.
Look, Nephtali, that's the spirit. See, that's my brother. See?
Right.
African American, bro. That's what they call you. You're not African. They've made the distinction. These people are trying to put themselves in the African box, and they're not in the African box. And he's telling you the scholars have taken us out the African box, and they've put us in a black box, right? Let's move them from Africa and put them in this crayon color box, right?
And that's the way they get around saying that the ancient Kemetu or the ancient Egyptians were black. You know what I'm saying? We would define.
They wasn't black because we are black and they not us.
Right.
Defined as black is something totally different the way Egyptologists define as being black. And that's
no, we define ourselves as black and they define us as black. What they consider African is what is different. You consider yourself African. The Egyptologists don't consider you African. They consider you black. And ironically, just like the Israelites, the scholars teach that blacks are not African.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Can we get that?
I got it right here.
I was about to pick it up too.
Most High just had it looking at me. I kept looking over there and then I turned right to it. This is Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably 96 years before the flood. One of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor or forefather of the dark races, semicolon,
right.
Not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes.
Comma, But the Egyptians,
that's
the first nation they bring out,
yeah.
right? Not Negroes, but Egyptians. Do you understand how that works? When did Zondervan Bible Dictionary come out?
Some time ago.
What was this made?
Does it have a year on it?
Mine was copywritten in 1967.
Yeah, mine was too.
I know it's older than that, though.
Right.
Man,
this is what the scholars say, though.
Fact of the matter is, right? Look, we'll go with 67. Just because it's what mine says the copyright is my particular hardback book, right?
Right.
Now, 67, the scholars are saying that Negroes are not Africans in 67.
Right.
That's before my dad was born. But 82, we call ourselves black. No.
Yeah, we no.
We call ourselves African American.
We called ourselves what was it? I think it was just Jesse Jackson brought it in around
the
later.
It was 82 or 86, right? But we call ourselves
right.
African American when he's running for president, when Jesse's running, right?
I'm older than that name.
You feel me? In the 60s, they already knew we weren't what Jesse tried to attach us to.
Right.
Which is why they had no problem keeping the American there, because it wouldn't offend the actual Africans, because we still are distinguishing ourselves from them.
Right.
The Egyptologists are still trying not to offend the actual Egyptians by not allowing us to be called Egyptian, or not allowing the Egyptians to be called or labeled quote unquote black, because they are not.
You know
the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians. Go ahead.
Salakia. And and I could see the House of Knuckleheads. Pardon me. I'm at the House of
No. That's what it stands for. House of Knuckleheads. Exactly. HOK.
But I could see them using the Zondervan Bible Dictionary saying, well, you see, the reason why it says not the Negroes, because they're trying to keep us from knowing who we really are. But we know, what the scriptures say, who we are. But that's just their logic and their reasoning. It's just it baffles me. Like I said, it baffles me. Their reasoning, their logic, wanting to own and uphold something. And I'm going to be honest. Back in the early 90s, I would say late 80s to early 90s, there was a movement of consciousness really going on. There was a conscious rap. You had groups like the X Clan. I don't know if you remember that. That's probably before your time.
No, I know the X Clan.
Yeah, I used to wear the red, the black, and the green with the brand Nubian. You know what I'm saying? With the keys. You know what I'm saying? So I was in with the medallions and the African, content on the medallion around your neck. I did all that. I wore the red, the black, and the green because we wanted to be a part of something. You know what I'm saying? But it's really nothing. It's just and here's the other thing: the other nations don't care if we're calling ourselves Egyptians, right? They'd rather us call ourselves that than what we know who we are today.
In the 90s, niggas was calling himself the Asiatic black man.
Right.
Right.
So yeah.
It was a group, brand Nubian.
Yep.
Nubians is Egyptians.
That's right.
They let them get famous and make songs about Egypt.
Songs of it. Yep.
Nas was making Egyptian songs.
Yep. Shoot, Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
I can hear
her big old gay behind. Yeah. The Queen.
As I said, there was a strong movement in the late 80s, early 90s for that identity. African. Yeah, to be African, to
Live
go back
Color
to our
was
so-called
African show. African niggas.
Yep.
Will Smith used to wear African colors on the Fresh Prince.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't had no problem with us being African. No. Now, what if Will would have tried to wear a Star David so-called?
Yeah. Been terrorists a long time ago.
Been a dub.
Yeah.
Show would have got canceled.
Yep.
Right? So that's the type of stuff I want y'all to realize.
Ooh, man. Wow.
Let's get some scriptures before we get that next video.
God.
Next video and the other thing going to kind of just be some points to seal the deal. Give me Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1.
God. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. And it reads, you want 1 and 2 or just 1? I'll just go. The book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may.
So look, Salaki, I was choking, but these people, right? They basically covered themselves with the covering of Egypt, right? The scripture talked about woe, right? Woe to these people that trust in Egypt. That's what they're doing, right? It's going to be destruction because this is literally a strong delusion that's been given to our people, this Egyptology doctrine,
right?
And anything connected to it. Because let's think about it. Egyptology is why the Nuwapian doctrine exists.
Yep.
Egyptology is why the Moorish Science Temple exists. Egyptology has a lot of brothers into that that 19 keys crap, that red pill, blue pill crap, that melanation carbon body people crap, the rock worshippers. All of that comes from Egyptology because they feel that the Egyptians was doing something with all these different things. They had rock black magic and all this other stuff that they're trying to attach themselves to because our people think they're Egyptian. So they're like, maybe I'll be able to connect myself to my roots, or I'll feel the spirit of my ancestors, or whatever the hell it is that they be trying to do if I, go into this lifestyle. And then they're taught by other people that are in that lifestyle to continue to do so, right? By the time they actually hear the truth, they too engrossed in whatever it is that they're doing, and they ain't not worried about this no more. So that's why it was important for me to do this lesson, I feel, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that are stuck in this doctrine, you know what I'm saying? Give me go to verse 3, or read the rest of verse 2 or whatever, but read all the way to verse 3. You on mute.
Salakia. I'm gonna finish up on 1. I'll just start over. The book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth.
You see that? Because if you would have asked, the Most High would have told you what he about to say in Exodus 11 and 7. Why are you worried about them? There's a difference between Egypt and Israel. Stay over there, right? But our people they're not on that time because we've discontinued from our heritage, and they're not trying to follow the old path, right?
Right.
Israel want to be royal. They want to be kings, and the kings that they're looking to are the most softest, most gayest, incest-filled, misogynist, narcissistic kings and queens ever. The Egyptians. Right? These are the people that the white folks modeled their lifestyle and their community after. That should tell you everything you need to know. The vilest man on planet modeled his lifestyle after you people. Right? Or after the people that you people are trying to follow, rather. So you're doing all this stuff to get away from. That's what's crazy to me, right? Egyptologists and Afrocentric always talk about how the white man did this, the white man did that, the white man's vile, the white man's foul, all this stuff, right? But the lifestyle that they're living is a lifestyle that the white man is living too, because he's copying off of Egypt, and they'll tell you that the white man's copying Egypt. You know what I'm saying? So if you let us know he's copying Egypt and you're following Egypt, what does that tell you? You know what I'm saying? So, but are you finished on that? Keep going. Read the rest of 3.
Well, I haven't got
no, read the rest.
Finished 2. Yeah, that they walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion.
See that? It's literally your confusion. You know what I'm saying? Give me 2 Thessalonians 2:11. So if you're confused and you're teaching people confused, or if you're teaching people while being confused, right? It's literally the parable of the blind leading the blind into the ditch. Because you're teaching people that are trying to figure something out, that don't really know what they're trying to figure out, and they're listening to you, right? I got a cousin, Stanley, right? Liano. He's a native. Gadai, right? My uncle's only son. My dad, only brother, only son. Now, the dude heard a brother that claims he's a native and said that because of the pyramids that was found in the Americas, Hispanics and natives really come from Egypt, not just Negroes in Egyptology. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's stuff like that. Brothers and sisters would just hear something. That's why Young Pharaoh got big. Y'all know who Young Pharaoh is? Young skinny brother from Detroit.
Yep.
Got the dreads, right? Reason he's such a big personality on YouTube and stuff is because he got people like my cousin. My cousin used to watch him. That's how I found out about him. He's the one that told me about it, right? Like, folks will be trying to learn something. They're trying to catch on to their history, trying to learn different things, try to find out what they are. And they'll find these people on social media that claim to have the history, that claim to do the research, right? And the stuff they say is not stuff that could be backed up by fact or any type of scholars, period, right? It's like Dan Calloway. Dan Calloway is teaching people that the slave trade never happened.
Wow.
We had a sister come to camp on Saturday that told us she watched Dan Calloway. Right. And she couldn't accept the stuff we were saying once we brought out Deuteronomy 28 because it involved the slave trade. And she's taught that the slave trade never happened, right? Dan Calloway has led that woman into a ditch. She's never going to come into the truth because she don't believe the curses fit her, because she don't think she hit the curses. One of the curses, one of the biggest ones, the one that put us in this land here, she doesn't even believe in, because Dan Calloway told her that, it never happened. Even though you get taught about it every year and they teach you with proof. You can read books about it. You can go to museums and read about the ships and all type of stuff. You can look up the database and the names of the people that insured the ships and the slaves that got off the ships. But there's people able to teach that it never happened and people believe it.
Salakia. And they make movies about it. I mean, they literally make movies and base it off of true events. So,
all right. Keep going on that.
In Isaiah, or I'm sorry, 2 Thessalonians.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, I'm gonna, yeah. I haven't even read verse 11 yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, 2 Thessalonians chapter
2, verse 11.
Chapter 2, verse 11. Slakia. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie.
You see that? Go ahead.
That they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
See that?
But we are.
So these people had pleasure in unrighteousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. And they've believed the lie. Now they're in a situation where they're forced to have to believe, what they're being taught. They have to hold fast to what they have because they're not really trying to learn the truth. And they're going to answer for that when the time comes, right?
God.
Give me Isaiah. Actually, give me Exodus 11 and 7.
God. The book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
Hey, Naphtali not bugged out, Marcus. He's very astute brother. You know what I'm saying? He's very smart.
There's that difference.
Facts.
Matter of fact, can I bring out to show? Let me get if you don't mind me get a precept real quick.
There's a big difference between Naphtali and a bug out, right? There's bigger differences there is between an Israelite and an Egyptian. You feel me? Go ahead.
Because the Most High had given us warning about Egypt, not just the fact that he put a difference between us, but he added some significance to that. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 3. So what we're told? It says, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So we were already given, a difference right there. He did not want us doing those things that we had learned and became envious of our oppressors to want to, cut our hair and cut all our hair off and bald and then paint eyebrows on us and different things like that.
Preset up. You brought that out on purpose because you knew what was coming next.
Oh, did I? Well, all praises.
Did I say 31?
That was
a good precept. So yeah, like you said, right? There's certain things that the Most High didn't want us to do. And believing anything that has anything to do with Egypt, ironically, is one of them, right? It's not just like studying Egypt. You can study whatever you want. Much study is his awareness of the flesh, but you can study whatever you want, right? You're supposed to study to show yourself approved of the Bible, but you can study whatever you want, right? But what has to happen and what needs to be understood is this: Isaiah 31:1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 31 and verse 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help.
So if you are people that lost your heritage, right? You know what I'm saying? You walk with me here. You lose your heritage. You get put in captivity, right? Now, you're trying to find out who you are, trying to look up who you are, right? First place you're going to go to is Egypt. Most I say, whoa. Woe like woe and woe like destruction. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because why would you go there first? That's the first place you was held captivity. You think they're going to tell you the truth? Furthermore, the people that have you in captivity, once you say you're Egyptian, you think they're going to not let you say that? You think it's going to make them change their mind once you start teaching something that you're not? Notice, Sinetta channel got shut down and he's right back up at 182,000 subscribers. When they did the sweep on the conscious community, they were only looking for the Israelites. All the other people in the conscious community that had a following got their following back. Israelites have had to work their way back up. A lot of our channels aren't monetized anymore, right? Them brothers still get what they get. Still make money off the YouTube. Still got the followers. Still get the views. Why isn't YouTube shutting them down and blacklisting them like they do us? Why don't Sinetta get shut down like Kyrie and Kanye was getting shut down? Or any of the people that he have on this channel for that matter. Jabari Osaze and all of them Negroes, right?
Salakia.
Nothing happens to them, but stuff happens to our people. Go ahead, Art.
Yeah, and that brings up what I said earlier. I said they don't mind us being Egyptian. They don't mind us taking on the customs or believing that we're another people. As long as but when we bring out that we're Israel, you see the issues that happen with Kyrie and the same thing that happened with Kanye. But yeah, like you said, Senator came back and his numbers went right back up, right? They don't give a damn if we call ourselves the Chinese. If we call ourselves the black Japanese, the black samurais, they would not give a damn.
They wouldn't.
They'd be like, oh, more power to you. Yeah, okay, yeah, no doubt. But let us, yeah, but the moment we claim who we actually are, we see all the drama unfold. You know
that's
what I'm
it.
saying?
And that's how it's always going to be because they know who we are. The devil knows the truth, right? The devil knows the Bible too. And his whole duty on earth is to deceive you. So what better thing for them to do than allow you to keep believing that you're an Egyptian?
Yep.
Allow you to keep believing you're an Asiatic black man. Right?
No doubt.
Brand Nubian.
Yep. You can be anything on the planet except an Israelite.
Anything.
We can be aliens.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? That came from another planet.
It's people that teach that.
And right, there is.
Planet X, Young Pharaoh and them.
Yep.
Nebula, whatever they call it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They teach about the reptilians and the shark people or whatever the hell they call, right? There's people that teach this type of stuff and people believe it, bro.
Yeah,
It's out there.
that's wild.
Give me
That's wild.
Jeremiah 6 and 16.
Con. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 6 and verse 16, and it reads, "Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths."
So that's what brothers are supposed to do. Brothers and sisters are supposed to ask for the old path. The thing that was like, yo, what's that thing we used to do? What were we before we were slaves, right?
Right.
Now, instead of actually doing that research, y'all didn't do that. Y'all just went to the first big time black civilization that you could think of, which was Egypt, because that's what they taught us about in school when we was growing up.
Right.
First black civilization you heard of wasn't Nigeria, wasn't Mali, wasn't Mansa Musa, wasn't Asika Muhammad, wasn't Songhai dynasty. It was Egypt. You see what I'm saying? It was Egypt. That's the first thing you heard of. So when it's time for you to do the research, what are you going to do your research on? West Africa or Egypt? Egypt, right? You ain't got no people from over there, but that's what you're going to do your research on because that's what they taught you to do your research on. So, you know,
stuck in those ways.
Keep reading.
Of believing. Con. And ask for the old paths. Where is the good way?
Yep.
And walk therein.
That's what you're supposed to do. Supposed to ask for the good path, the old path in the good way, right? That is the good path. Supposed to ask for the good path, right? But our people aren't doing that. Instead, they're saying, let's just get back to Egypt. Let's get back to the path with the black people that everybody know about. You want to be the black people everybody know about, or the people that everybody know is black. So now the white man then threw something. He threw a monkey wrench in there. He said, "You ain't never heard of Alexander the Great?"
Right.
You don't know Ptolemy, not Ptolemy, but Ptolemy.
Right.
You don't know Antiochus, right? They teach you these names so that you know. Nah, Negro, we was in Egypt too. That ain't yours.
Right.
Get over there.
Right.
Go back to Africa, right? Which is why you have now there's Afrocentrism, because a lot of the Egyptologists caught on to that, and they're like, well, these white people got a claim to Africa too. So I want something they don't have a claim to, right? The white folks got a claim to the Bible. They got Christianity. I want something they don't have a claim to, even though that's not a claim. They're just using it. That's why they push against the Bible. It's not because they have a real reason to. They want to go to something African because they think it's something that the white man don't have a claim to. All in all, they're calling it Afrocentrism, which is a hairstyle that comes from the name African, which is the surname of a cracker man.
Wow. Lost.
How does that work? See what I'm saying? Give me 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 19.
God, the book of Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God.
And that's what it is. It's complete foolishness, right? For you to think, I'll take a DNA test, and the DNA test don't even have Egypt on it, but I'm an Egyptian, and I'm going to practice Afrocentricity, Afrocentrism, African spirituality, and I'm going to choose the network of Egyptology or chematology to be where I'm going to focus my research, right?
Okay.
When I do the DNA test, 23% Yoruba and 86% Igbo, right? But I'm gonna go to Egypt because that's where I think my people from. Because who the hell give a damn about the? Ooh, ain't nobody worried about the Igbo people.
Nope.
They don't teach about us in school.
Nope.
Wonder why? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the only reason Egyptology is even a big thing. Because they taught us about it in school, and it's the one thing that people go to look to because it's the famous black people. They're the famous black people, the Egyptians, right? In this lifetime, in this place.
Yeah.
In the kingdom to come, it's going to be the Israelites. But right now, it's the Egyptians.
And like I said, they want us to believe that. That's why they push it. That's why you have the the fascination with America. Well, we know the understanding of what Egypt is today, spiritually Egypt, but they fashion it and they propagandize it with us on the money, on, buildings in Memphis. I mean, they want it. They don't mind us being that, and
No,
we got,
they don't.
They know,
They don't.
you know. So
As much of these people on these videos would have you think that they do, because they always talk about, oh, they're in Egypt chopping off the faces and changing the faces. They're making white Queen Nefertiti's and stuff. Well, maybe she was white. It was crackers that was living there before she was there. She might have been light skinned for real.
Right.
Like it's serious.
Yep.
It happened in America. Why couldn't happen in Egypt too?
There you go. Nothing
Right?
new under the sun.
How you know that she really didn't look like that? And y'all are just, oh no, them white people trying to put their stamp on it. I'll tell you what they did put their stamp on though. There's a biblical description of Jesus, and they made him look like DJ Khaled. Now, why did they do that?
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They made Jesus look like DJ Khaled and French Montana had a son. And y'all are mad that that Nefertiti look a little bit light skinned, but Alexander the Greek freak, Ptolemy Seleucus, Antiochus, and all they men, whores, and daughters was running through Egypt for generations.
Yep. Think about that. No, that's you don't even think about that really. You go back into the history of things.
So why is it so hard to believe that Nefertiti could have been a light-skinned woman?
Right.
With little tiny lips. In a head like this, like the cone heads. You remember the cone heads?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Like
shaping them, wrapping it up. I don't know how they did that.
She might have looked like Angelina Jolie. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, just saying.
Let me finish that up.
Yeah, go ahead.
1 Corinthians says, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
Mm-hmm. See that? So them Egyptologist people, they're gonna be caught in a whirlwind.
Yep.
Whirlwind of truth soon. So, like according to Jeremiah 17, we know we're not gonna read it for the sake of time, but we know that Jeremiah 17 talks about us losing our heritage, right? Give me Sirach chapter 17:11.
God. The book of Sirach, chapter 17, and verse 11. Beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage.
Mm-hmm.
He made an everlasting covenant with them and showed them his judgments.
You see that? So we had a covenant that was made with us, and the judgments of the Most High was shown to us so that we would know how to continue to live our life, right? It's our people that are looking for other things that are contrary to the heritage, the actual heritage that the Most High gave us, right? Jeremiah 17:4 is specific. It says, you will discontinue from the heritage that I gave you, right? We ain't discontinued from niggerism yet because that wasn't given to us by the Most High. We gave that to ourselves. You ain't discontinued from wanting to be Egyptian because that wasn't the culture and the heritage that the Most High gave you. That's something you're trying to give to yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You ain't discontinued from being Igbo, a Mexican, a Native American, a Haitian, African American, or a color out the crayon box, whether it's black or brown or red or yellow, right? Light skin or dark skin. Like, you're holding on to that as your heritage because that's not what the Most High gave you. And he said specifically you would discontinue from the one he gave to us, right?
That's right.
Which is us being Israelites.
Yep.
That's why it's so difficult for us to catch on to this thing. And that, it's difficult to the degree that only 1/3 of us are actually going to realize it and come back to it. According to the prophecy in Zechariah chapter 13. So
Salakia.
Yeah, go ahead.
And some, when we look at this, that he gave Israel a law of life for an heritage, you think about it. All these other nations that were outside of us, they had very similar things that they did. You know what I'm saying? Even though they're different cultures, they served idol gods.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the one thing that separated us from everyone else. So, we know that Egypt was big on idol worship. So that in itself showed that we fell so far off from our culture. Heritage is a part of who we are as a people, our name, what we ate, how we dressed, how we praised. how we treated and raised our children, how we brought together our families. It was totally different from the other nations. And we had the Almighty, and we have the Almighty and only true God, you know what I'm saying, who was not in the form of any kind of stone or wood. So that right there separated us from the very beginning. So that's why today, when you see people talking about, well, you know, Egypt is where we supposed to be, but yet you have these same people who come from, you know, believing in Christmas and realize that, oh, well, Egypt is our homeland, but yet they don't believe in the pagan Christianity. They'll say, well, Christian's pagan, but then you go and jump over into
now you got 12 gods.
now you got So it's like, that's what I said. Their logic, it doesn't
You
make
believe
sense.
in a talking dog with a man body that's supposed to be guarding the underworld that holds a stick.
Right.
Right. So Jesus can't do no miracles and walk on water, but a Doberman pincher can have a man body and hold a stick and guard the underworld.
God.
You feel what I'm saying?
Put this up here real quick.
The wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High.
God.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Jesus can't walk on water, but a Doberman can hold the stick.
Ain't that crazy?
Yo, like this.
Right.
So,
No doubt.
crazy.
No doubt.
Give me Proverb 3:31, and then I'm gonna play this next video, and we could be done.
All right. The book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31.
Actually, hold on. Before you get that, let me read this. This is my favorite scripture, right?
Go ahead.
The reason why we are waking up and it's fun to make videos like this is because of this scripture right here. Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30. For I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people. So Most High knows that a lot of y'all would be strongly deceived, right? Like that strong delusion we read in 2 Thessalonians. He's sending that to you, right? In Romans 11 and 8, Paul talks about people having a spirit of stupor, right? To this day, eyes that can't see and ears that can't hear, right? No, it's some people, no matter how much proof you put out there, no matter what you say, they're not ever going to get what the Bible is talking about. They're never going to realize what their true heritage is, no matter how well you try to connect the dots for them or help them connect the dots themselves. That's just the way it is, right? So Baruch 2 and 30. He knew we were a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. So we're going to know who we are once we wake up, the ones that are meant to, right? In the land of their captivities. If you're meant to, you're going to find out who you are, right? It's one thing to take a DNA test and be somebody that believes in DNA and haplogroups and all that type of stuff. And DNA and haplogroups prove that the African Americans and so-called black people don't actually originate in the continent they call Africa today, that we come from the east, right? East of the African continent region, right? The Middle East, so to speak,
right?
Or
Northeast Africa,
Western Asia,
right?
Or whatever they want to call it, right? So like their haplogroup systems, which we're going to show in the next video, because I've been studying this a little bit. Brothers and sisters have been asking me to get in contact with that and kind of learn a little bit. And conversation with the brother Naphtali Ben Oye helped me out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking into that now to try to learn as much as I can on it, right? And in the process, I came across a video, which I'm gonna show next, because that video has sources in it, and it explains that well, at least the haplogroup E is let me see. Haplogroup, yeah, here we go. The haplogroup E, which is apparently covers 65% of the so-called African Americans in the Americas today, it derives from out of Africa, right? This is haplogroup E. It says for the remaining 65% of the African Americans who find an African origin in their Y chromosomal lineage, the most common haplogroup discovered is EM2. The total prevalence of EM2 among males in the country in the Americas varies widely, but likely indicates paternal ancestry traced to the transatlantic slave trade, right? Now, when you see the map, right? You got E1B1A, which if you read, but if you listen to what's the dude name that made the video? Ron Dalton. If you listen to Ron Dalton, this is the specific strand of DNA that he talks about a lot, right? E1B1A.
E1B1A.
Yeah. And you see where they're trying to say on the map, they're trying to keep it in Africa, right? But
Right.
we're going to find out that due to research actually comes from over here. You know what I'm saying? You know how they try to do black people come from the east. They don't actually come from West Africa. They come from East Africa. Well, before the Suez Canal, this would have been East Africa, right?
Mhm.
So that is where we came from. It really was this green dot here should have been over here. And then because the Fertile Crescent, where civilization started, this is the crescent. So the land that would have been fertile due to this sea right here would have been this area right here, right? Which is Israel all the way up to, I think this is like Jordan, Syria, something like that.
Syria,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. So we got all of that right there, Fertile Crescent area. So that should start here, and then migration patterns will be like that, right? That's how it went. That's how the book Babylon the Timbuktu explains it. That's how the Tariq Al-Patash explains it. That's how the Igbo explain it. That's how the Yoruba explain it. The people from Ghana, they explain it like that too. The Limba tribe way down here in Zimbabwe and South Africa, they also explain it like that as well. So they say we came from the east, not here east near Ethiopia. You see, that's where they're trying to put it. You feel me?
Right.
They're trying to put us around here. But really, we was up here. So I just wanted to put that out there before we start the video. Just so that it's clear to everybody, because I know Jake don't like to look at maps. So, all right. Shout out to the brothers Genesis 49ers. Brother Jeshub. I call him Yeshub, but Jeshub. Hold on, what's going on with my joint? Oh, man. Don't tell me that.
Not playing.
You was there me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Yep.
I might have to start that one over. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Okay. So we're going to start here. All right. Let me pull this up for y'all. All right. Check this out. He's going to explain the haplogroup thing we just talked about. Mind you guys, remember, E is the one that we're speaking of here. This says the Eurasian origin of the Y chromosome haplogroup E.
First slide. The Eurasian origin of Y chromosome haplogroup E. So again, we're dealing with Eurasia as a commonality between sub-Saharan African.
For those of you that don't know what Eurasia is, it would be the Europe and Asia meeting point, right?
Right.
So, and if you know anything about Europe and Asia, that's basically the area that Alexander the Greek freak took over, where Europe and Asia meet, which would be, Israel is right smack dab in the middle of that. So that definitely includes where we're from.
And native,
basically the Mediterranean region.
So we're going to start with the SSA group or the Sub-Saharan African group and prove that they have ties.
The reason I like Mediterranean houses so much is because you're from where they was built at.
To Eurasia. An origin in Asia and return to Africa was proposed long ago for the Y chromosome African haplogroup E. This hypothesis was based on the derived state of its African YAP positive, which when anytime you see YAP positive, that's the parent haplogroup. So again, YAP positive haplotypes 4 and 5, haplogroup E, with respect to the ancestral Asian YAP positive haplotype 3, haplogroup D. The later discovery of new markers evidence that D and E were sister branches of the YAP positive node. Haplogroup D showed the derived status for M174 and the ancestral status for M40 in Asia. Whereas
So they're about to explain to you that D and E aren't actually associated with the African YAP plus or YAP plus haplogroup. It's actually associated with the Asian YAP plus haplogroup, right? Which would put them in the Asian area, which is what they consider the quote unquote Middle East to be, which is why when they do the haplogroup things for the Native Americans, they know that their haplogroup matches the same area as African Americans, but they're trying to make them Asian because they know that that area, according to scientists, is called Asia, right?
Right.
It's not that they're actually Asians. It's that the Middle East is called Asia, so they try to, finagle the system like that by calling them Asians as far as their haplogroup. And they know that your haplogroup actually goes back to that same region, but they call you African according to your haplogroup, or African American with the E1B1A, because they still separate you from the actual Hamites. See how the confusion is there?
Yep.
That's why we don't deal with DNA, because we know that there's things that they did, narratives that they push and stuff like that, as far as little tricks of the trade, like the one we just explained with the Asians and the Native Americans, right? That they've done to fit certain narratives that they're trying to push to make certain people be who they want them to be, i.e. the Jewish people.
Group E was characterized by derived status of M40 and M174 ancestral status throughout Africa. Thus, the migratory sense between continents of both haplogroups cannot be assured. A few YP positive individuals ancestral for both markers were detected in West Africa and in Tibet. Although assigned to the para-haplogroup DE, this actual ancestral state cannot be confirmed. So that's the purpose of this paper, to study the migration. It means in others. June 19, 2018. Because the reason why it says in others is because these scientific papers is just not. All right. Moving on to the next slide. The Eurasian origin of the Y chromosome haplogroup E. Furthermore, a new mutation P143 united the two other Eurasian haplogroups C and F as brothers, and in turn, DE and CF were joined to an ancestral node defined by mutations M168 and M294. The initial scenario proposed to explain this complicated,
AKA, somehow these newcomers from, Eurasia, from the East or Western Asian area, they come into Africa and now they've mixed with these African people, right? That's why you have brothers and sisters that look straight up African. You got brothers and sisters that don't look African. You got brothers and sisters that look like they're a mix of Africans and maybe some Middle Eastern people, right?
Right.
It's because our gene pool basically mixed with them, and it's been a bunch of different people that this is proven with.
this situation was that two independent migrations out of Africa occurred, one marked by D and the other marked by CF pair of lineages. However, a new interpretation arose following the discovery of more than 60,000 single nucleotide variants by next generation sequencing techniques. The most parsimonious interpretation of the Y chromosome phylogeny constructed with these variants is that the predominant African haplogroup E arose outside the continent and back migrated to Africa.
You see? So these people arose from outside the continent and moved back to Africa, almost like what they tell you about Noah and Abraham and them, right? They're found in the Middle East, and then their ancestors moved back to Africa. Their ancestors that moved back to Africa wouldn't be us; it would be Ham and his people. And then eventually we move into the area with Ham. That would be Jacob, right? In the 12 tribes of Israel, which move into Egypt, right? And then we end up having babies with all these niggas.
Yep.
That's not happening. They're literally telling you the story of the Bible scientifically, using a bunch of big old words in English, right?
So that's the conclusion they're coming to: is that haplogroup E arose outside of the country, out of that continent, and then migrated into Africa, right? So the origin of haplogroup.
Oh, look, see, and Naphtali just taught me something. So haplogroup D are Japanese and South Asian people. They're trying to say D and E arose, right, in the same place. Guess what? Abraham is supposed to be the father of us, right? And the Japanese and Asian people is supposed to be with Lot. And Lot and Abraham are cousins, which came from the same place.
Right.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
Group E, according to this scientific research, is not within Africa, because I know the competing theory is, oh, haplogroup E derived in the Horn of Africa, but according to Cabrea's work, this haplogroup originated outside of it in Asia.
So E, the dominant haplogroup for African American people, is not even from Africa. It's from Eurasia and came into Africa.
Now let's look, because they're saying that that occurred 70,000 years ago, but the point is that is the origin. I use relative dating, so these huge balloon astronomical dates are really not a problem for me, because I can just look at what happened first and then.
Now, mind you, we're going to talk about the Levant. I'm not going to play his whole first part. You'll have to go and watch the video yourself. I'm just going to let him do this little summary part of the dominant group. But
I'm trying to,
as you see, he talks about the Levantine populations. The Levantine, reason it sounds like Levite or something like that is because it's from the Levant area, which would be the area that they contrast with Moses, which is why they call it the Levantine area, right? They're about to tell you that these people that are haplogroup E, we dominated this area for a time during the Bronze Age and everything like that. So that's during the time of Alexander the Greek Freaks people, right? Which would make sense because he had us as slaves in that land, right? Kicked out the actual Africans and then moved us in to Egypt and all these other different places that he had, and made us the slaves. And we know everywhere in captivity, we happen to grow. We grew the first time in Egypt so much that they wanted us to get the heck up out of there. Remember? We grew and helped Alexander's people populate and became his army, right? They made a movie about us in the 300. That was only 300 of us, but we were bigger armies than that. That was only one group, right? In one area. He had a bunch of different armies all throughout the whole Middle East, from Athens to Punjab, India, including parts of Africa, which would include Egypt. So, you know, they're letting you know that based off of based off of the facts that they have as far as our migratory periods and the ways that the people that they claim that we mixed with and stuff like that, they're able to trace our haplogroup back to this area in this time period and claim that we were the dominant people in this time, which is a time in captivity, which also fits the biblical narrative, because we always become the dominant group towards the end of our captivity when we about to get the heck up out of there.
See what happened in sequential order. So what first happened, haplogroup E arise outside of the continent of Africa, and eventually migrated into the continent of Africa. Now let's go into more recent times, the Neolithic and Epipaleolithic, which is about 20 to 10,000 years ago, and the Neolithic was like a year, like about 10,000 year period. So let's read about this era or this epoch. This finding contrasts with both earlier Neolithic and Epipaleolithic, which Neolithic means new stone or Stone Age, right? Levantine populations, which were dominated by haplogroup E. So the Levantine or the Levant was dominated by haplogroup E during the Neolithic and Epipaleolithic periods.
Okay. So I just wanted to point that out. They know who E is. They know haplogroup E is us, and that has to do with us. But instead of telling the truth about where haplogroup E comes from, you have to do that research or read books like the one that the brother was reading, right? So, that particular haplogroup, which would contest for 60% of the African American males in America, which we, no offense to the women, but the males is who we would worry about there, because that's who determines who you are, right? The patriarchs, the patrilineage of a person. So it's explaining to you the story of the patriarchs, how they came from the so-called Middle East and then eventually would move towards Africa. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly, Neptali. Explains the movement of the patriarchs. So, yeah, that's what I want to bring out. So if that don't prove that we the Israelites, I don't know what does. Plus the videos that we've done in the past, videos other people have done. Like, we showed you how they say stuff in the conscious community, in the Afrocentric Egyptology, chematology community. They repeat BS like the heliobibliotos. And they'll say things with so much confidence that it'll make you believe it's true. But if you actually do the research, you'll find out that a lot of them have absolutely no inch of an inkling of what they're talking about. So that's all I got, man. Wait, I lied. I want to show y'all something. Just so that we don't have any more confusion, about anything out there in the world. Don't want no more confusion. So let me show y'all these last little things, and I'm gonna let y'all get up out of here. This last little thing right here. This thing. So look, this is just to show you guys the graffiti in Egypt versus the graffiti that we did, right? So this is the tomb of Ptah. It's got Greeks in it. Were the Greeks the first to wrestle naked? No. And then you see that Egyptians did that stuff too. So these people want to be Egyptian, and they boo-boo heavily on Greek society and certain things that Greeks did, right? Call them very nasty, vile people. But many of these people don't do enough research on Egypt to understand that they know and they repeat things like the Greeks just stole a bunch of stuff from Egypt. The Greeks just copied Egypt. Okay, well, that being the case, the Greeks did copy Egypt. How much of Egypt did they copy? The brothers never try to do that research because you might end up finding stuff like this. And if I was an Egyptologist and I found out that Egyptians used to wrestle butt naked, I would have a problem with that because I had a problem with it when I found out that Greek people wrestled butt naked.
Right.
I had a problem when I read the Bible and found out that the Greeks had the naked gyms and that they was trying to make us be the little boys in it that was spotting them and stuff.
That's gymnasium.
Right? That's a gymnasium, right? And it talks about that in the Bible. They wanted to build the gymnasium under the temple, remember?
God.
You got to do the research to find out they was going to be naked with just a little hat on their head. That's what it is, right? But where did the Greeks get that lifestyle from? When Plato put the quote out there that there's no better relationship than between man and boy, and that the relationship between woman and man is solely for the solely for the gods of procreation, and that if a man really wants to be happy, he'll get him a boy. Plato, the famous philosopher, said that, right? He's Greek. Why would they, or where would they get such thoughts from, right? It'd be the people that they copied their civilization from, the people they copied their heritage from, which would be the Egyptians.
Kind of in the spirit though, Slakia, but that kind of makes me feel like why Israel liked it so much. They was used to what they did in Egypt. So when they seen Greece coming and bring those laws, they was like, shoot, let's go do it. Hey, we remember this from Egypt times. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Easy for them to fall into.
Yeah, all them people that's doing it, the Lil Nas X's and the Dwayne Wade and his son and all them people, they just the same spirits that was with it back in the day. There's no new thing under the sun.
No new thing. Yep, no new thing. Yeah.
All right. This is Eber's Papyrus. Says organic remedies, right? Human excrement mixed with yeast of beer and honey is recommended as a dressing for wounds. So this is people in Egypt. This is for wounds. If you had a cut, you wouldn't get Neosporin. You wouldn't get alcohol, rubbing alcohol. You would get some beer yeast, some honey, and some semen. Slap it on there and put a little bandage on it. Right?
Oh, the next one though.
Male semen is used as a flavoring agent, right? So need some sugar for your coffee?
Oh man.
Get some semen. Need some sugar for your grits? You know what to get, right? This is the Egyptians. This is Egypt. This is what you guys are trying to be like. This was the wonderful piece of art we saw earlier, right? That's how Esau would describe it if he's selling it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
This is the funerary papyrus. Ironically, the funerary papyrus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ain't even gonna read it. But as you see, there's a man with,
I don't care what Jonathan say. This is unexplainable.
You can't explain this. You know what I'm saying? You can't explain this. I don't care.
There
what
was an
none of
explanation for this. I forgot what it was though. That didn't.
There was no explanation for this. They
No,
didn't
no.
give an explanation for this.
No, I
This is
heard
supposed
someone
to be
explain
Geb.
this.
This is supposed to be Geb, and he's explaining procreation, how he created life.
Right.
So he,
Yeah. That's wild.
This is another depiction, right? This is Eros on the Nile. As you see, there's a piece of lettuce in his hand right here.
Yep.
This is the god. This is the god's rod.
That's
and
right.
This is the lettuce.
Yep.
And he is relieving himself.
Yeah, releasing himself
on the lettuce, and the man is supposed to eat the lettuce. The man is Amenhotep the first, right? Amenhotep offering lettuce to the god. Yeah. This is Re or Ra. It says, Re has no power over me, for I am he who takes away his breath. That sounds gay.
Yeah,
It says, Atum has no power over me, for I copulate between his buttocks.
Wow.
And then they have pictures of phalluses in graffiti. You see, the graffiti is different. With their graffiti is different from ours, right?
Yeah.
Their graffiti is more along the lines of Lil Nas X. Our graffiti is like Exhibit, WC. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let me see. I might not show y'all no more. This is gonna be the last one. This last one. This is Coffin Text 700, right? 433A to J. For a man to be among the living is between the cows of Geb. I will escape thence, and Geb will be purified. May he give me his crowns, crown jewels. Y'all heard that term before? Now do you see where this is going?
Mm-hmm.
A man said, may he give me his crown jewels. May place me his, is that what it says? Yeah. May place for me. Yeah. May place for me his ear of corn. Ear of corn. You guys know what ear of corn is? Corn on the cob is what we call it in America, right? Now he's talked about crown jewels and an ear of corn, right? He said that he's going to put the crown jewels and the ear of corn, which is upon his mouth, his penis, between the dude's buttocks and his son and heir. So he going to have sex with his son, right?
Wow.
If a man has no son, if you don't have a son and you can't do what the scripture just told you to do, it is against the task of the daughter.
Is that back or is that, what is that?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. It is against the back of the daughter that the pleasures
of the
that he acts. Of the what?
Of the phoenix.
The phoenix. Oh, you're right. I can't see today. Okay, let me read that again. If a man has no son, it is against the back of the daughter of the phoenix that he acts. Meaning he gonna take his daughter's back if he ain't got no son. These are the Egyptians. Okay.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's Egypt.
That's Egypt.
We don't want nothing to do with Egypt. I don't want nothing to do with Egypt.
No.
You shouldn't want nothing to do with Egypt either.
All right. Good.
Leave Egypt alone. There's a difference between Egypt and Israel, right? Yep. The difference is they gay and we not. We the chosen, they not, right?
Right.
So just leave it like that. Let's get Daniel 7:18 and get it by
you. Con. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and 18. Before I go there, I do want to announce again, verge of our very first AHOS Feast of Passover. We will be having it in Atlanta, Georgia, April 3rd through the 10th. It will be the colors of the event will be royal blue and gold. The RSVPs have ended, but you can still make your payment. So if you are still looking to attend and have not made the payment, please make the payment ASAP so that you will be able to enjoy the festivities that we'll be having for that week. Again, also we'll be having a unity camp May 6th in North Carolina, in Charlotte, North Carolina. The weekend of Cinco de Mayo, it will be we will be doing a groundbreaking in Charlotte. We have our Captain Yakamya, who is stationed there. So if anyone is able to attend and need directions and the days and times that we will be out there, please email us and we'll get that information to you. I do not have the flyer with me presently. So I hope everyone enjoyed the class. It was very edifying for me. I'm sure that some of you may have been edified, or pray that you have been edified by it. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and get this Daniel 7, and then we're going to close it on up so y'all can get some sleep. So this is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 18, and it reads, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." And again, we give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Amashak Yahweh Shai. Until next time, we are out of here. So to everyone, we will say a hearty shalom, shalom, and shalom.
Shalom, man.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce.
Con.
Whew. Oh, this junk.
Was that the end of it? No, it's still